Thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Bell, and this is To the Point. We start with the migrant situation that is unfolding around the country. Venezuelan migrants flown to Martha's Vineyard last week are now suing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The class action lawsuit alleges the Republican governor and his transportation secretary of engaging in a fraudulent and discriminatory scheme to relocate them. So Southern Republic governors are saying it's their way of bringing immigration issues to light. The executive director of Lawyers for Civil Rights said no human being should be used as a political pawn, while DeSantis's press secretary shot back in a statement saying, quote, "It is opportunistic that activists would use illegal immigrants for political theater," escalating tactics by Republican governors to draw attention to what they consider to be the Biden administration's failed border policies are prompting Democratic officials, including California Governor Gavin Newsom, to call for federal probes. Now, we bring this up because a small group of Venezuelan migrants were also flown to Sacramento just last week. But how they ended up here is still a mystery. So Van, too, has been following this story for us. And Van, what do we know so far?
Well, Alex, Governor DeSantis and Texas Governor Greg Abbott have claimed responsibility for flying or busing migrants to other Democratic states. But when it comes to a group of men who say they landed here in Sacramento, no one has claimed responsibility, have said that they are behind it. Now, we did speak to one of the migrants who showed ABC 10 scars that he sustained while trekking through Mexico to get to the Texas border. He told ABC 10 that he was given Department of Homeland Security paperwork in San Antonio that allowed him to board a flight, and he thought he was headed to another city. We reached out to the Migrant Resource Center in San Antonio, which said it was not aware or involved in this reported flight, and they have reported the allegations to federal authorities. In the meantime, staff at their office are now advising migrants not to accept rides or any other assistance from strangers outside of their facilities. Now, we also reached out to the Department of Homeland Security to see if they are opening up their investigation of their own. Was this an error or was it an unauthorized act? So that question is still outstanding, Alex.
And where are the two men that you spoke to? Where are they at now?
Well, there's 8 men, and we spoke to one of them on behalf of the entire group. And the activist group NorCal Resist has been taking care of them through volunteers and resources. They have been able to find those men motel rooms to stay in and also connect them with attorneys as they navigate what their legal options are.
All right, Van, thank you.
Even though it started out as a very cruel and ugly thing to do to people, I think maybe in the end they're going to be lucky to be here in Sacramento. They're already saying they want to stay here because everyone's been so welcoming and kind to them.
So that was Autumn from NorCal Resist, and she's really taking this point that, you know, this started out really cruel, but so many people have been reaching out to help them, the migrants.
So they feel supported.
They do. So now they want to stay in Sacramento, and they have been helping the advocacy group too with volunteer efforts too. So the group said that they even helped move furniture for a Syrian refugee family here in Sacramento.
Oh, wow. All right, Van, thanks for the update. We appreciate it. Of course, we will continue to follow this. And also, we want to mention that someone on Twitter brought this up today. They say Governor Newsom criticizes Texas and Florida governors for the treatment of migrants, but he won't sign AB 2183 into law. Now, if you remember, that's the farm workers bill that President Biden threw his support behind earlier this month. AB 2183, California's Agricultural Labor Relations Voting Choice Act, would make it easier for the United Farm Workers to organize farm worker employees and give agricultural workers more opportunity to organize and also collectively bargain. Now, today at the state capitol, guitarist Tom Morello, best known for his time in the band Rage Against the Machine, he played a free concert in support of this movement, and we caught up with him just a few hours ago.
Can't explain his rationale for not signing this bill other than he is a grower himself, and maybe he's embarrassed. He's going to be embarrassed at Thanksgiving dinner when he sits around with the other millionaires and billionaires and say, why'd you sign that bill? So now my workers are organizing and it's going to be uncomfortable for him. I don't care if it's uncomfortable for him. What we need to do is what's right by the workers, what's just in the workplace.
About a month ago, the governor's office said it could not support, quote, an untested mail-in election process. So, of course, we reached out for an update. The response we got from the governor's office tonight was, quote, we don't typically comment on pending legislation. The governor has until September 30th to take action on this bill. And of course, we will be watching to see what happens. Another person was shot and killed in Stockton early this morning. The number of homicides in the city this year is now at 42. And we are digging into the numbers, so take a look at this. There were 39 reported homicides in all of 2021, but official numbers report 39 homicides just by the end of August this year. That is the highest year-to-date number since 2012, when Stockton last saw its highest number of homicides. The city says there were 71 total that year. Now, these numbers are prompting calls to action from many city leaders. And ABC 10 digital producer Ayanna Williams spoke with the Stockton mayor, Kevin Lincoln, who says the city is focusing on three main steps: enforcement, outreach, and follow-up. And he says the city plans to increase police visibility in areas with the highest rates of crime to try to mitigate future homicides, and also reach out to the communities through the Office of Violence Prevention.
We're going to do everything that we can to ensure their safety, but most importantly, bring justice to those families as well that want answers, that have been impacted and that are victims of these violent crimes.
Now, the Stockton Police Department is also making efforts to focus on one-on-one outreach with residents and business owners in those neighborhoods that have been the most affected. Both Mayor Lincoln and Stockton PD stress that these efforts really rely on participation from the people of Stockton. And Stockton police say a shortage of police officers has played a role in the rise of homicides. There are currently 384 officers. That's about 100 officers short of what police say is needed to serve the over 300,000 people that live in Stockton right now. They also noted that officers have been recovering a large amount of illegal guns during traffic stops. A public safety community town hall meeting is planned for Wednesday on October 5th at the Victory Inn Praise Church. You can find more of Ayanna's reporting on abc10.com. She has been digging into this for nearly a month. After the break, a new action by the Fed could push the country closer to a recession. So why is Chairman Jerome Powell saying it's absolutely necessary to rein in inflation?
Today, the FOMC raised its policy interest rate by 0.75 percentage point, and we anticipate that ongoing increases will be appropriate. We are moving our policy stance purposefully to a level that will be sufficiently restrictive to return inflation to 2%.
That's Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell today talking about why the Federal Reserve hiked interest rates again. Now, the move isn't without consequences. Financial experts say that rising interest rates could cause more unemployment and also slow down consumer spending. That has the risk of sending the economy into a recession. Powell addressed these concerns in his speech, saying, quote, we have to get inflation behind us. And I wish that there was a painless way to do this, but there isn't, end quote. Now, the Fed will have a chance to raise interest rates again in November and December. And we're also hearing from some of you about inflation and rising prices. One viewer emailed us a question asking about the California gas rebate payments, or the middle class tax refund, as you might know it. Early this summer, the governor said that millions of Californians will be seeing payments as large as $1,000. So here's a breakdown. This viewer asked, whatever happened to the gas rebate situation? Last I heard, a rebate was supposed to be sent out in September. This has not been talked about in the news as of late, and people still need help and relief in this area as so many of us commute. So here's the answer to that. The middle class tax refund payments are going out as soon as October 7th, and they'll be continuing to be sent out well into January. So if you filed your 2020 taxes online and got your return via direct deposit, that is where your stimulus will end up. Otherwise, the state will mail you a debit card to the address that the FTB has on file for you. So here's how to know if you qualify. Take a look at this. Your adjusted gross income on your 2020 tax return must be less than $250,000 if you're single, or $500,000 if you're married and filing jointly. You have to currently be a California resident and have lived here for at least 6 months during 2020. You also can't have been a dependent on someone else's tax returns. Now, in terms of when these payments will go out, the FTB expects about 90% of them to be sent out by the end of March. There is also a calculator on the Franchise Tax Board's website that can help you tell if you're eligible and seeing how much you could get back. So you can find that on abc10.com/to-the-point. Now, we cannot predict what the economy will look like in the weeks to come, but we definitely can prepare for it. When we come back, I'm sitting down with a financial expert about building wealth through life insurance. We can't predict what the economy is going to look like in the months to come, but we can prepare for it. And over the coming weeks, I'm sitting down with financial specialist Shane Correa to go through some of the key phases to setting up your financial plan. Shane, we've been going over those 4 phases. For people that may have missed it, can you just recap what those phases are?
Absolutely. So phase 1 is identifying your goals and taking a look at your relationship with money. Phase 2 is risk management, and we talked about disability. 3 is wealth accumulation, so it's building your assets through real estate, retirement, etc. And then the 4th phase is distribution. It's the legacy piece.
And last time we talked about disability. What are some other things that people should consider when it comes to risk management under that umbrella?
Yeah, the second most important thing under risk management is life insurance, protecting your family. We talked about with disability, whether or not your employer offers that benefit. Same thing with life insurance. Most employers offer a benefit of life insurance. It's usually 1 times your salary. The problem is you may not be able to take that with you when you leave. Maybe you get terminated or quit and retire. So you need to get your own. And there's 2 types of life insurance that you can apply for: term insurance and permanent insurance. So term insurance is like renting a home. You're leasing it for a certain amount of time, 20 years, right? You've heard of that, a 20-year term policy. It's inexpensive. Permanent insurance is more like owning a home. You build equity in it. So you get to own it, it's permanent, you'll have it for the rest of your life as long as you pay the premiums on it.
Okay, and then what are some of the other benefits to having life insurance outside of a tragedy?
Yeah, so life insurance, permanent insurance can play another key role in your retirement. You can earn what I mentioned earlier, like equity, you can earn cash value. And so what that is part of your premium goes into your own cash value fund, where you earn interest, and it's compounding interest year after year based on what company that you're putting your money in, that you're paying your premiums to. So that cash value accumulates over time, and maybe in retirement you decide to pull that out, and it's tax-free money. All the money that you put into it, you pull out tax-free like a Roth. Some people do it for their children, for college, to buy a home, leave a legacy or generational wealth for their children. They take out a juvenile policy, build wealth over time, and then gift it to them when they're ready.
Just
so it can play.
What works for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I have one for my daughter.
Yeah. Her daughter's very sweet. I've met her. All right, Shane, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And if you've missed any of our financial conversations with Shane, you can head over to our website, abc10.com/to-the-point. We'll be going over the 4 phases, and you can catch them all right there too.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thank
Shane.
you.
And new tonight, all evacuations have been lifted for the mosquito fire out in Placer County. People who live in evacuated areas can finally return home. Some evacuation orders for El Dorado County are still in place. The fire has now burned more than 75,000 acres. And it has been rainy the last few days across Northern California. We're checking with meteorologist Carly Gomez here. Carly, are we in the clear now that we're seeing the rain, or are we still going to see fires?
You know, fire is one of those constants in California, and we cannot turn our back on it. It's one of those situations where you think you're in the clear, and then winds pick up, things get pushed, and
all of a sudden it's there.
It's there. And you know, one of the biggest fires that burned here, the Camp Fire in Paradise, it killed 85 people in November 8th. And that is just one of those times of year you don't expect it to kind of break out. You think you're in fall and you're in the clear, and you just aren't. Looking at humidity levels, though, we have been seeing things improve just a little bit. You can see anywhere from 40 to 50% in the foothills, 70% humidity up near Truckee, South Lake Tahoe. And we did receive quite a bit of rain, hit and miss for a lot of spots. Stockton, Modesto, 1/10 of an inch, and as much as 4.36 inches in the Woodland area. Just crazy situations here. Arnold, 3.63 inches, And I want to show you this. This is some of the large fire comparisons. Again, Camp Fire November 8th, as well as the Woolsey Fire November 8th in 2018. You can see the stats there, September 27th and also the 26th, the Zog Fire and the Glass Fire. So we're not in the clear. A lot of these big fire outbreaks have happened as we start moving into the fall months and just before winter starts. In October, 149 fires have burned from CAL FIRE incident reports in the last 5 years. In November, 31 of those fires, and December, 21 fires. And take a look at the Gilmore backyard. Sun finally coming out just a little bit before we start to see the sun set. Upper 70s out there in that 10-day forecast. That'll bring us temperatures into the low 90s by Saturday, Sunday, 80s into next week. We'll be right back.
Well, 50 years ago, tragedy struck in Sacramento. The city was forever changed when a plane crashed through an ice cream parlor, killing 22 people. I spoke with 4 first responders who were all there that day, and for the first time, they are sharing their experiences and explaining how the crash changed our city. Here's a look at just some of what you'll see in our special edition of To the Point tomorrow at 6:30.
It was carnage. It was just disaster.
I heard the crash, I saw the smoke.
Came in on the county that a jet had lost its fuel tanks, and the fuel tanks had fallen into the Crossroads Shopping Center. So on a Sunday, I didn't even think about Farrell's being there.
We got trouble. You know, that's just the only way I could describe it. The flames and the explosion. At the time this occurred, this was the largest air-ground disaster in the history of the United States. To walk in and see an F-86 aircraft parked inside the restaurant, that was just totally bizarre.
You see hundreds of things in your life, but I'd never seen or have seen since so many kids in a location, perished. It's intense.
It continues to have an impact on you when you go to a scene like that.
Now, this crash devastated the city, but after talking with local first responders, I found that something good did come out of this tragedy. A Sacramento fire captain who was inspired by the crash ended up creating the largest burn treatment center right here in Northern California. He proved that while scars may never fade, they do heal.
Cliff was the executive director here. He volunteered 20-some years of his life as a retired fire captain. Cliff worked really hard to get the burn center here in Sacramento. Probably raised about $125,000 a year. That was just from firefighters wanting to support the burn center.
He contacted our union, and they together created this charity. And one of the first things that came out of the charity was UC Davis opened the first burn unit. Nobody wanted to open a burn unit here. Burn care is not only very expensive, but a lot of the people that get burned have no coverage.
As firefighters, we got into the profession to help people, and Cliff took it to another level.
Cliff's heart was in this place. He was a great guy. His whole life was not only being a firefighter, but running this charity, and he founded it. And we wouldn't be here. In fact, the 2 burn units probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Cliff.
We are just absolutely honored to be able to tell this story. So I really hope that you'll join us tomorrow at 6:30 for this special edition of To the Point. As always, thank you so much for joining us. We always want to hear from you and hear what's going on in your world. So make sure that you message us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or you can just send us an email at tothepoint@abc10.com. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.